Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Waiting Room Entertainment. I'm Demi Montgomery, and we want to welcome you guys. And we have something special for you today. But before we get started, I just wanted to thank everybody that was able to attend the social club recently on the 27th of February. We really enjoyed having you guys, and we hope that you can participate at our next in-person social club. So, Rod, you want to get started?
Hi, yes. Good morning, everyone. It's good to see everyone again. Thank you for visiting the Waiting Room Entertainment. Today, we have a very special guest here. We have Mr. Connor Mertens. He is a patient advocate and media manager for CreakyJoints.org. Welcome, Connor. Thank you very much for joining us.
Hey, Rod. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So, if you would just open up, can you tell us a little bit about the organization and how you got involved?
Totally. So I work for an organization, a nonprofit called the Global Healthy Living Foundation. And then within that, there are a lot of different patient support aspects to the Global Healthy Living Foundation. We have research arms, we have advocacy arms, and we have education arms, where we're always just trying to, as an overall mission of the organization, to make healthcare better and more accessible for folks living with chronic diseases. And taking care and training their caregivers as well. Luckily, that's a pretty broad idea, is the idea of making healthcare better and more accessible and quality of life for folks living with chronic disease. So, no 2 days ever look the same at the Global Healthy Living Foundation, which is a good problem to have. But as a patient advocate myself, my goal is just to make sure that patients have a megaphone to tell their stories and experiences wherever their stakeholders making decisions that are going to impact their lives, whether that's in a boardroom of a pharmaceutical company or at the legislature on the state level, federal level. We just want to make sure that the patient is represented and heard, and that their interests are going to be something that is prioritized by folks that will impact their life.
Oh, that's great. So I wanted to ask, you brought up Global Healthy Living. So you guys are partnered up. And so are you acting as like one unit, or is as just two lanes that kind of merge in because of just complements the mission for you all?
Yeah, so like the overall umbrella of the organization is the Global Healthy Living Foundation, and then below that, we have our education, which is CreakyJoints, and that's an online community plus a lot of articles that just give folks the most up-to-date information on their conditions, but also the classic here's 10 ways or 10 life hacks when you're living with arthritis. So we're always just trying to keep our ear to the ground, figure out what patients need, and then adjust to that. But we also have a really, in addition to our education, our advocacy arm, which is the 50 state network, which is, in all 50 states, we have a network of patient advocates that we keep abreast to whatever's going on in the state or federally. So that's a really good resource for patients that are interested in advocacy. Through that, we provide trainings, we provide opportunities for op-eds, again, just trying to elevate the patient voice. In fact, next week, we're doing a West Coast Advocacy Roadshow. So we're visiting all 3 state capitals in 3 days. We're going to go Olympia, Washington, Salem, Oregon, and Sacramento, California, and meeting with lawmakers at the state capitals with some folks from our patient community to advocate for legislation that's going to impact them on the state level.
That's fantastic. And speaking of that, I mean, is there a particular bill or anything that you are seeking support for that you like to bring up?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because the nature of the legislature is it's changing daily. A committee hearing today could, axe a bill that we've been working on for 2 years, and I got to scrap that and go back to the start. So I think that one of the best things, and I actually spoke about this with a few folks this morning, is I think our biggest strength is our flexibility. And that's just so necessary, whether we are talking about education or whether we're talking about advocacy. We have to be able to adjust on the fly and be there for our patients however that exists. Federally, some overall issues that I think are super important to our organization is, working on copay accumulator adjusters, making sure that patients are getting all the patients and their caregivers are getting the benefits and the discounts that are afforded to them. Making sure that there's more transparency among the pharmacy benefit managers. There's step therapy is another just bane of our existence. I can't tell you how
Right.
frustrating and how many horror stories I've heard about step therapy or seen from my own mother going
Mhm.
through having to deal with step therapy. So when it comes to, and because we do work on the state level, it's tough to narrow down because we have 3 bills on copay accumulator adjusters all up and down the West Coast that we're going to be fighting for. So it's just, I think at the end of the day, it's making sure that we're flexible.
Yeah, you're definitely speaking our language. We are staunch advocates, and we definitely understand that world. And I love that you are the voice of millions of people. You're working very hard to make sure that people who represent have a voice. So that's fantastic. Now, you've mentioned also that you make it very easy for family members, even patients, to get some answers. Now, I've noticed on your site about Creaky Chats. Can you talk a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, so like I was mentioning earlier, CreakyJoints is kind of our online community, and it's just so powerful. It's I'm very proud of the community that we have on our social media. But our Creaky Chats are something we do once a month. We pick a topic, we do a moderated conversation for about an hour. We partner with either individuals or other organizations to make sure we get big reach. But some of these Creaky Chats are getting 20 million impressions, and it's just wonderful to be able to. My favorite part is obviously I like when folks can get into the nitty gritty, but ultimately what we get to see is people building and finding community. The amount of times you scroll through if you look up on Twitter #CreakyChats, you just see line after line of people meeting other people that have the conditions that they do, and finding solace in that familiarity of going through something with somebody else. And that's just so powerful. And yeah, I think we're very proud of our Creaky Chats, and I think through the nature of working with chronic disease patients, we tend to have a lot of need for an online presence.
Yeah.
How do you sign up for the Creaky Chats?
Yeah, so you can, the two things is, you don't need to sign up. It's just on Twitter. So we usually do it Mondays, a random Monday in the month at like 7 p.m. Eastern time. And you just come to our page. We'll post 5 questions over the course of an hour, and people can chime in. My favorite part again is when they talk to each other. Somebody will mention, they're living with migraine, and then somebody's like, oh my goodness, I've never met someone that has had that same symptom that I've had. And then they feel less alone. But you can obviously go online, you can obviously go on to our CreakyJoints website, and we have a landing page for Creaky Chats. But ultimately, I would suggest just going on Twitter, typing in #CreakyChats and scrolling, because it's really interesting.
Super cool. Yeah. And with the advocacy, you were saying that you have like a 50-state initiative. So how would a patient get involved with the advocacy?
Similarly, so I would just Google 50 State Network and go through our CreakyJoints site. And then when you sign up, there's a little bit of a questionnaire where we're asked some demographic questions, because ultimately when there are media opportunities or legislative advocacy opportunities in a state, we want to be able to alert our community and activate them. Really, that's to me, that's the other piece. Is we don't want to just send an email saying here's a bill that might impact your access to medication in Iowa, right? We want to be able to say, heads up, this legislation is going through, here are some ways you can get involved, this is how you should, and then ultimately as a patient advocate, I get to it's a great joy that I get to work with folks individually, one-on-one, and help them cultivate their stories, help them, write them out, and Jessica's very good at that too. But just making sure that, again, I think whenever I think about what I do, it's as long as I'm boiling it down to amplifying a patient voice, I'm doing my job.
You're obviously an advocate because, exactly. That's, Demi and I have many years experience with being that, in a sense, mouthpiece for those that, they just need to be represented. And I like the fact that you are educating lawmakers and just the general public and overall, like, for example, the public's attitude towards arthritis is full of misconceptions. So you help them understand it's of all ages that you feel that, people suffer from arthritis. I wanted to ask, on the caregiver side, do you have some support for the caregivers for, that have loved ones that are suffering from arthritis, and how could they get their questions answered?
Yeah, we on our GHLF website, the Global Healthy Living Foundation website, we have a lot of resources for, patient and caregiver guides. So it'll be, a RA patient and caregiver guide, and it gives you all the, a lot of resources, a lot of tips and tricks and whatnot. But the other piece of caregiving is making sure that they feel empowered too, because when you're a caregiver, you're living the chronic disease life as well. And so when it comes to that, I think it's super important for us to be able to involve them in the conversations when we're talking to legislatures and legislators, and making sure that the voice of the caregiver and the needs and concerns of the caregiver are included as well. But yeah, we have a lot of resources that just kind of give overviews and helpful tips and tricks. The other thing that I'm really proud of is we have a really, really robust podcast network. We have, I think, over a dozen podcasts at this point. And just by the nature of that, we tend to interview and speak to a lot of caregivers and folks living with these chronic diseases as well. So I think when we discuss amplifying the patient voice, another piece of that is the shared voice of their caregivers as well. So amplifying both those sets of people is just in the nature of the work.
Connor, I want to roll back a little bit. How did you get involved with all of this?
Yeah, I'm actually really excited I like talking about that, because it's also just a credit to the organization. They brought me in with not much healthcare experience. I was an activist and an advocate for LGBT issues and suicide prevention work. And what GHLF wanted was someone to come in and be able to empower and teach patients how to be their own best advocate. So just the thoughtfulness and the willingness to take a risk on somebody, a younger person who didn't have much healthcare legislation experience. I think it speaks volumes to the priorities of the organization and also the foresight, to be able to have someone who, I was on the other side of the legislators' offices with signs and making noise and causing trouble in the streets. And so now to be able to flip around and expand my own advocacy, but then show patients how they can be their own best advocate. I'm really proud of again, the organization taking a chance, and then also seeing the importance of having advocates talk to advocates.
Yeah, that's really important. And so I'm all about a gala, about participating in events. What kind of events do you guys have coming up where we can support you?
I love a gala too. We actually, a big part of our organization is we don't solicit any sort of funding from our patient organization or from our patient community. So that means no walkathons, there's no, you can't go on our website and click to donate. That's, we want to make sure that we are, we're not asking our patient community for anything. We just want to be there for them. I would love a gala, don't get me wrong, but our events tend to focus more around, we'd rather spend our money and time sending us on a West Coast advocacy trip to meet with folks and yeah, again, put me in a bow tie any day, but I'd rather our money went to gas and flights so we can be in the state legislatures with our patient community.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. I love when you're helping the patients more than anything else. That's really important. Now, I have scleroderma, and a big part of our audience has scleroderma, which is a form of arthritis too. Is there anything specific set up for people that have like diseases that are forms of arthritis other than just being called just pure arthritis?
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing is about the work that we do is when we're really broad with the idea of working on with all chronic diseases or diseases that folks have for life. But we also recognize within that it's not black and white. We can't just say arthritis. We can't just say lupus. We can't just say migraine. There's tons and tons of variations of that. And I think, again, to our education aspect of our organization and the CreakyJoints, that is something that we take into account and make sure that we are representing all different shades of arthritis and all different shades of these chronic diseases, because yeah, with the goal of just wanting to elevate the patient perspective and patient voice, that doesn't happen unless we get the perspective of folks with you know, specific diseases and providing resources and things around that.
Well, is there any way that like we can sign up to be like ambassadors or to be part of like do what you do? Is there any way that we can sign up to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I would, my first suggestion would be to check out the 50 state network, because that's just we're most active there for well, that's the spot where we try to, for folks that are really interested in getting on the ground and doing the advocacy and activism, that's the best place to do it. But the other way is just getting plugged into the community discussions and getting on the radar and making sure, because you know we're constantly looking for folks to lend their voice and do articles and do interviews. And again, the more diverse and more broad, I guess not broad, but I guess the more voices we're able to add to the conversation, the better. So I'd probably suggest starting with the 50 state network, but ultimately we have a very responsive organization. It's not very big. I will say this, again, it's something I'm very proud of, is our staff is, you know, somewhere less than 35, but we have we work internationally. We work in all the states. We work federally, all the podcasts. I think with the small team that we have, I think we have a lot to be proud of for what we're able to produce.
That's great. Roddy, you got any more questions?
I guess one last one. I know you support, or do you have access or give people access to participate with clinical studies? Are you approached by corporations or companies that are asking for patients to participate?
Yeah, well, and that gosh, thank you. Yeah, that was perfect timing, because that was the last that was kind of the last thing that the Global Healthy Living Foundation is really invested in, is the advocacy, education, and research. We have an Arthritis Power app, which has thousands of folks that have opted in and have Fitbits, and we just published, I think we had one of our best days at a local, or at one of the Academy of College of Rheumatology conference, the ACR. We had somewhere around a dozen publications of things that will be peer reviewed. So I'm research and data is over my head. I'm a politics guy. I'm not a good numbers guy, but I'm always so impressed by what we do with our research arm of things. And yeah, we try to partner with educational institutions, with government entities, other nonprofits. But I think that we're pretty wary about not selling patient data. I mean, that's something that we're very, very intentional about, especially with the arthritis app. We're very, very, we follow all the protocols. So yeah, it's I think that our research arm is something to be very proud of.
Now, Connor, you got me interested in this app. What
Yep.
does the app, what does the app have?
Yeah, I mean, it does a lot of exciting things like tracking your symptoms, tracking your medication intake. It's free. You know, you have the opportunity to opt in voluntarily. It's just patient-centered studies that kind of inform our understanding of living with inflammatory diseases. But yeah, it's really interesting. I think it speaks volumes to our patient community's willingness to you know, go the extra mile, like we started this conversation, like you said, is looking out for the people coming behind us and making sure that that they're passing on as best of a world as we can, right?
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
You can share your data, items you track directly with your doctor. It's pretty cool. The Arthritis Power app is one of our staples.
So
I'm
it's the
so gonna
Arthritis
sign up.
Power app.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as this is over, I'm gonna sign up for sure.
It's fantastic.
120, through the Arthritis Power app, we've done 120 publications of research using the data we got from there. So
That is fantastic.
yeah,
That
a
is
little bit of
fantastic.
everything. Podcasts
Yeah.
to research to yelling at lawmakers. We do it all.
Right on. I love
Yeah.
that part. No.
Well, everything that Connor has shared with us will be listed in the description below. So make sure that you get on and check the details out underneath this video so that you can get signed up with the app and also with the 50 state initiative. So we just want to make sure that you guys are getting involved with CreakyJoints and the is global, the global healthy living.
Yeah, the
Um,
Global Healthy Living Foundation and all of our resources. The other piece is that all of our resources are available in Spanish and English as well. So
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So Rod, do you want to?
Yeah, well, I'll close this out then. Well, I just want to thank our special guest, Mr. Connor Martins. He's a patient advocate and the media manager for CreakyJoints.org. Definitely visit that site. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel and social media. This has been a product of the Waiting Room Entertainment, and on behalf of our team, I would like to thank you all for your support and for watching. Thank you and have a fantastic week, everyone.
Thank you, Connor.
thanks.